Hello, I'm the Eternal Newbie. The extra L is for leave. As in, when you're with a bad DM, leaving is not only an option, it's usually the right option. Matter of fact, that is the best advice I can give new players. If you're not having a good time, leave. Though in most cases, I would suggest talking to the DM first. Not so much in today's tale. Today we're going to have the story of a player who got matched up with a terrible DM and even paid for the privilege of playing with that DM. Though in this case, playing consisted mostly of being insulted and then having your character killed by this DM. Let's get to it. This has been on my mind for quite some time. I hesitated to share my story because I didn't want to add more fuel to the fire, but I think it might inspire someone else to leave a toxic DM. And honestly, writing this is also part of my own healing process. To add some context, I played D&D casually in person with friends, and this was my first time playing online, paid DM. It gets toxic, but don't worry. This story has a happy ending. Where it all began. After finishing Baldur's Gate 3, I was itching to get back into D&D. I've always dreamed of taking a character from level 1 to 20. To make the journey meaningful, I gave my character a strong arc and motivation. Concept: a paladin from the forest of Tefir. Man soon destroyed my home searching for an artifact. We barely pushed him back. My mission is to travel across Faerun, gathering allies to defend the forest when he inevitably returns. The idea was to help people in exchange for alliances, kind of like Mass Effect 3. Red flags. To be fair, things started out okay. I found the group on Start Playing, the schedule fit, and I was excited to try Foundry Virtual Tabletop. It automates dice rolls, has beautiful maps, and music. I was impressed. It cost $15 a session, which I thought was fair, but then the red flags started showing. A level 1 death. Our monk got critically bit by a snake and died. We had crunchy crits and critical fumbles turned on, which I voted against. Every combat felt like life or death from the start. Newbie here. If you've never heard of crunchy crits, that's when if you roll a natural 20 on an attack, you do maximum damage on the crit dice. Critical fumbles, on the other hand, punish the player when they roll natural 1. It runs the gambit from making the character drop their weapons to maiming them. I am not a fan. Probably because I roll a lot of 1s. But back to the story. A disrespectful exit. Our rogue left due to a schedule change. His character scouted ahead, and the DM rolled a nat 1 on his behalf, alerting enemies and getting him eaten by wolves. Sure, it followed the dice, but couldn't you have written him out more respectfully? Dark Souls-like combat. At first, the difficulty felt like a fun challenge, but it escalated. Every fight became a survival gauntlet. This was supposed to be beginner-friendly. When I messaged the DM about it feeling unfair, he brushed me off with, "Be a team player." In less than a year, we lost 9 characters. Look, I love combat, but I mainly play to roleplay and bring my imagination to life. It's hard to build relationships in-game if everyone keeps dying. It was mentally exhausting. The players were great, and watching them die was demoralizing. Maybe some people like being able to just write up a new character. There was jokes like, "Oh, I better have my backup character ready." I didn't like that. I came from a background of playing D&D very casually, where the combat was even too easy at most times. I felt more of a zero than a hero. Backgrounds were ignored. We filled out detailed backgrounds using Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. Siblings, rivals, allies, everything. In over 20 sessions, none of that ever came up. Maybe one player uses Warlock's mom as a backup character, but that doesn't count. It made the game feel shallow. If our backstories don't matter, I might as well be playing Skyrim. Hey, nothing wrong with Skyrim. I do get what OP is saying here, though. If your DM doesn't use your background info that you wrote, why bother writing it? Why not just make a generic character? Now, personally, I like giving my Skyrim characters backgrounds like Agathor the Manure Salesman, but I get it can be disheartening when your DM asks you for this big write-up, then completely ignores it. This seems to be a minor problem in the game, though. 9 characters in a year died? D&D 5e isn't built like that. You're not supposed to lose characters that often. Now, OD&D, that would have been a banner year. But OP was not playing original Dungeons & Dragons and didn't sign up for this. Not to mention you're paying $15 a pop for the DM to murk your character? No thanks. I'll just flush my money down the toilet. It'll be quicker and slightly more entertaining. My Witcher-inspired background was rejected. After being approved. I'm a Witcher fan. In my background, I saved a friend named Geralt from the invasion of Tether, and had another rogue ex-friend turned rival named Corvo from Dishonored. The DM approved it during session 0. 15 sessions later, I asked when our backstories might come into play. His response, I can't use your characters. It sounds like a Witcher fanfic. Then why approve it? He even thought Corvo was from The Witcher. Probably confused it with Corvo Bianco, a vineyard from The Witcher 3 DLC. I even offered to rename Geralt to Preston Holt, a character from the latest Witcher book, Crossroad of Ravens, which I read in Polish. There isn't even an English translation yet, but he still rejected it. Man, OP loves The Witcher. Cool. I changed the names until he agreed, but it didn't matter. He never used any of it. Also, I tried connecting one of the other characters' background to mine. Our rogue was an ex-slave to the Vulture, which she talked about during roleplay. So I suggested that maybe Corvo could have known the Vulture. He said, ow, you made that up. The Vulture is from The Witcher 2. I have no idea what he's talking about. It seemed like he wasn't even paying attention to us when we were playing. Rude and unprofessional behavior. As combat got harder, I started playing more cautiously. But caution was punished. Every rest was interrupted by ambushes. Exploration led to death. Literally. I followed footsteps once and triggered a fight that killed 3 players. Worse, we weren't allowed to discuss tactics during combat. This isn't a discussion, he'd say. I get wanting to speed things up, but again, this was marketed as beginner friendly. At one point, a child NPC was going into a cave. The party, including me, told him to stop. The kid called me a pussy. It felt like the DM was indirectly insulting me. It gets worse. I was once playing on the treadmill, and there was some background noise. Instead of politely asking me to mute, he said, mute yourself. It sounds like someone is humping in the background. Excuse me? That's just gross. I was paying $15 a session for this? He never took feedback seriously. I got anxious just thinking about messaging him. More on that later. Killing a player's character while they were absent. A player missed a session last minute. His grandma was in the hospital. The DM controlled his character, walked them straight into an enceromorph, and got their brains sucked out. That felt wrong. If someone isn't present, their character should be safe. So when I couldn't make a session, I asked for a roleplay reason to be absent. His response, oh yes, Kahir will be cowering in the corner while he hears the screams of his party members. Seriously? I am not paying to be insulted. I wanted to message him more respectfully about my feelings about the situation, but I was too angry to write calmly. So I asked ChatGPT to help me phrase a message using nonviolent communication. I didn't double check the output. Maybe it sounded a bit robotic. His response, using AI makes you sound like an illiterate, retarded person. That was the final straw. I quit. The happy ending. As awful as the experience was, it pushed me to explore Pathfinder 2e, and I have never been happier. I found a GM who cares about character backstories, builds tension without punishing players, and runs an immersive world. If you're reading this and stuck with a toxic DM, you don't owe them anything. Leave. There are so many great storytellers out there who will value your character, your ideas, and your time. Like they say, no D&D is better than bad D&D. You know, as someone who has never tried a paid game, I always thought this kind of thing wouldn't fly in them. I mean, if you're actually paying for it, you'd think the DM would be less dickish? But I guess not. I guess the bar for a professional DM isn't quite as high as I thought it was. If you have experience with paid DMs, I would love to hear them, negative and positive. Or just tell me anything. I love getting comments. Likes are also appreciated. And if you're new around here, stick around the sub if you please. I try to put out at least 2 stories a week, more when I can. In any case, thank you so much for watching, and as always, play your character. Don't let your character play you.